Three areas I want to focus on. The first, mobile technology. People are digitally connected. Write that down. I know you're shocked by that. Type it into your iPhone. People will check their phone on average 250 times per day. Power users, 900 times per day. Here's a scary one for you. There are more mobile phones on the face of the earth right now than toothbrushes. So if you're not sure, you better call them. It'll smell better than if you visit them in person. You layer on top of that this idea that we're always connected. People feel phantom vibrations from their phones not even being there. You then look at the world shrinking. In the next 10 years, 600 million more people will go outbound and travel the world. That's a 50% increase in just the next 10 years. So greater mobility, greater information, and at the same time, AI and automation are right in front of us. Current estimates show that 45% of all tasks being done by humans could be done right now, if we wanted to, by automation. Not saying we should, not saying we will, but could be done. And so again, more technology, the world is shrinking, and rapid technology acceleration. And so what happens is people are being pushed as brands further and further down to commoditize, to compete on price, to not be a relevant value add, but just be the lowest or the quickest or the most convenient of something, not a value add necessarily. And so what happens is competition comes in. Customers are more informed than ever. They can find the lowest price, right? Rule number one of marketing, you can always undercut somebody's price temporarily. It's a sugar high. You can goose the performance, and somebody will undercut you 3 minutes later. And so this pressure down, enabled by mobile and informed customers and increased competition, means that increasingly those who are not distinctly branded experiences will become commoditized. You'll lower your price a little bit. The experience will have to drop just a tiny little bit to make the margin stay where it was. You'll then have to cut the price because the experience wasn't as good. And down we go. And next thing you know, you're competing to the bottom. But what's interesting is there are brands, and I will tell you, I'm not endorsing anybody or intentionally leaving anybody off this chart. There are some brands that have said, look, we are going to compete as premium products. And these can be in any category. By the way, I love to pick on the example, Chick-fil-A or Shake Shack. They're not offering dollar menus, right? They've just kind of sidestepped that whole space. They're not competing on price. They're competing on experience, on value. And value can be at the luxury end, it can be at the economy end, the budget end, anything in between. And so for us, with a lot of soul searching in this push towards commoditization, we have had to redefine who we are. And we have reaffirmed that we are not a platform. We don't just sell rooms. We're not a lodging company. We're not a travel company that sells airline tickets and cruises and camping experiences. We are a distinctly branded company that delivers consistently branded experiences through 14 brands across the world. And even in our economy segments, even in our budget segments, Hampton Inn, for example, is not going to be the cheapest in that category. We command a market premium because it means something more than just the sum of its parts. This is the power of loyalty. Now, Hilton Honors, we finished last year with 71 million Hilton Honors members. They make up about nearly 60% of all of our occupied rooms across the system. So it's a major driver. And what we realized was we were connecting really well through our loyalty program with frequent guests. It was a frequent guest program. So how could we be more valuable to all customers? Because part of commoditization is being intermediated, other people getting in between you and the customer. Now here's the problem with intermediation. It can be a very effective customer acquisition strategy. You have to watch the price, but it can be very effective. The long-term implication, though, is you don't get to know your customers. Who is buying your product? How do they feel about you? And you might think you're getting a great return on that investment, but maybe you're not. So here's an example. We would have customers that book through intermediaries, travel online sites, and other things like that, that we were getting 40 or 50 trips per year. We thought, my God, these are great travelers. And then you realize they're staying 60 more nights a year with our competition. Then you had a grandmother who takes their kids out on a family vacation every 3 to 5 years, and you get one trip every 3 years, and you go, that is a low-value customer. Except until you find out that she takes one trip every 3 years, and you're getting 100% of her wallet. But if you want to connect with them in a meaningful way, we had to change what we stood for. And so we went on a journey to change 3 things. To make it a club for all travelers, so everyone had a reason to get involved. Value. Reward schemes, loyalty programs, frequent guest programs were all about do this for 5 years, and in year 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, you'll cash in your points, you'll take a flight, you'll go to Disney World. If I'm only going to travel once in the next 3 years, that's not a very compelling value proposition. So we started giving customers more immediate reasons to connect with us directly. This is blocking and tackling. It is things like free Wi-Fi when you book directly with us on our websites and in our app. It's things like the best price when you engage with us instead of somebody else. These are little ways you're offering immediate returns back. Second, if you want people in your club, you've got to make it easy to join your club. This is not rocket science, but yet look around your world. How often are you backed up at a pharmacy-like company, I won't name names, while somebody's taking out a home mortgage in front of you joining the frequent guest program? If you want people in your club, you have to make it easy. And in our case, that meant being relevant in 22 languages in 105 countries across the world. And by the way, it's really easy to translate. That is not a hard thing to do. It's really hard to serve up relevant content in 105 countries. So if you have a customer join, you take the English form and you're showing a hotel in Chicago and you're putting it in Mandarin, that's not a very compelling narrative. And so rethinking the process to make it one click and taking all the information we know about you and porting it right into the enrollment form, that's been our focus. And lastly, if you want new customers, you have to change how you engage them. Some of this is really straightforward. This is personalization. We can get a 2 times return, for example, if we personalize the web experience, not shocking. But some of this is jargon. I mean, think about your business and how much jargon you use every single day. A hotel calls the thing that you pay for the room a rate. How many times have you walked into Macy's and said, what is the rate for that dress? Right, so we're turning off customers. The thing we slip under the door, that's called a folio in our business. Nobody calls it a folio, it's a receipt. So if you want to engage less frequent travelers, you don't alienate them by using jargon and slang and things that don't make it feel relevant. You need to be relevant to all customers at all times. So that's been our journey so far. But as you know, the world is changing again. Customer expectations are increasing. Things that today are delightful, that we find fascinating, that's a terrible photo, we should take it off the screen as fast as possible. Things that you find delightful today, tomorrow you take for granted. I was in Best Buy the other day and a 1-year-old was trying to pull on the screen to get it to resize on like a 65-inch television and almost fell on its head. Because kids understand technology and we were just grateful to have a bag phone, a flip phone, a car phone. But what's amazing is we've done a lot of research about why customers pick the hotel they're in. And here's the top 5. Number 1 was location, which makes a lot of sense. If you need to be in Tucson, it doesn't really help you to be in Orlando. That just doesn't really make a ton of sense. But the second most powerful driver for members of the guest program, the loyalty program, was the loyalty program itself. Look what it's above. It's above the price. It's above maybe even the quality. Maybe it's a brand you've never heard of. It's a brand new brand we're rolling out. Loyalty drives irrational behavior. Your colleagues are staying in one hotel, you're staying in another. All of you have a friend somewhere, maybe even in this room, who moved away from a city and still flies their old airline, which involves connecting 3 times everywhere you go. Some of you drive past 3 grocery stores because there's one that you love the most, or a gas station, or whatever it may be. That's the power of loyalty. It drives premiums. So as we see that change, that's a challenge. The second thing is everybody's investing. I mean, you can't turn your head without finding a loyalty program somewhere. Some of these companies don't even exist anymore, in all fairness, but I'm surprised the Girl Scouts don't have a frequent cookie buying program. Right? I mean, there are brands that don't need to incentivize behaviors launching rewards programs. It's overwhelming our consumers. And here's the thing I think is most jarring. Almost everyone in the room that works somewhere has a primary competitor that you think is your big competitor. I'm here to tell you to rethink that. Because what I know is most of our customers don't come to our hotel from a Marriott. But they did probably ride an Uber or a Lyft on the way in. They probably purchased something in a store somewhere using an app and having an experience there. They used a credit card, had some sort of experience with that, Apple Pay or the credit card itself. Those experiences imprint on your head and have a different expectation level by the time you walk into our hotels. And so our comp set, and for our Hilton Honors program, but also our hotels, is not our competition. It's all the things happening around you as a human, because that's what's driving your expectations. It's not good enough to just be good enough in your category. And for me, this is the biggest one. We know customers belong to a lot of programs. In our industry, they belong to 2.6. I'm not sure what brand is the 0.6. I hope it's not us. What that means is being in the wallet is not good enough. We've got to fight and earn our way to top a wallet. We've got to give you a reason every single time, every single corner, every single street to choose our hotel versus the hotel across the street. You get a false positive if you look at your roster. You say, oh, we have all these members. But are they staying with you, and are they giving you their full wallet? And so for us, as we went on this journey, we realized that we can only do so much quantitative research. One of my favorite quotes, you've probably heard it a million times, but I think it's great. Henry Ford said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said, faster horses. Consumers can't imagine what's not possible.